We got to get into it. Let's get into it.
Kathleen Miles only works downtown 1 day a week. Today, she's still suffering the consequences of that random attack, but it is what she found out about the person who prosecutors say did it that has led her to speak out.
He hit me with such force.
Sitting at home in Lake Villa today, Kathy Miles admits the last thing she remembers before her attack on August the 19th is walking past Block 37 in the Loop on the way to the Union Station.
I woke up and my coworker was standing above me saying, "You're okay. We're in the hospital. You've been assaulted."
She then passed out again.
The next thing I remember is my daughter, Deanna, saying, "Hi, Mama. I'm here. You're okay."
And while she doesn't remember what happened, a colleague who was walking with her at the time told her this.
She had said this man came in between the two of us, shoved us apart, and then hit me in the face.
That punch left Miles with several broken bones in her face, as well as a concussion. According to police, she was assaulted by 32-year-old William Livingston. A record search produced 13 mugshots of Livingston going back to 2012. A large number of those arrests for aggravated assault and battery of both women and police officers, something Miles found out after the fact.
Like, what is enough? You know, what does someone have to do where he's going to be, they're going to be held accountable?
According to online records, Livingston's history of random acts of violence against women goes back 8 years. In 2017, he was accused of randomly attacking 2 women months apart. Both cases were dropped.
Oh, you know I don't like to pause it too much. We got to back that up just a tad bit. You saying this man multiple times, that's his MO? He likes to randomly attack women? Said months apart. Both cases were dropped. Why were they dropped? So you mean to tell me this man likes to go around and sucker punch women, and then the cases were dropped? Let's keep going.
Randomly attacking 2 women months apart. Both cases were dropped. In 2022, Livingston was sentenced to 5 years in prison after prosecutors said he punched and attempted to rob 4 women within 20 minutes in the Loop. And yet, just 14 months later, in 2023, while on parole, Livingston was arrested for hitting a woman in the face on North Michigan Avenue. And in 2024, he was sentenced to 100 days in prison after punching a 15-year-old girl, also on North Michigan Avenue.
I'm not going to let someone speak for me. I need to speak for myself. I need to say something. If I say nothing and he does this to another person, I'm going to feel bad.
Livingston's next court date is set for September the 15th at the Skokie Courthouse. Kathy tells us she will be there.
Absolutely crazy. Let's get over into what I said. The residents, how the residents feel about the National Guard. Now, my thoughts are simple as that. If the National Guard there is only coming, if the National Guard, if their sole goal is to come and reduce the crime, they're willing to work with the police, then, hey, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I truly am. To help stop the crime that's happening in Chicago. I don't know, but tell me your thoughts, y'all. Tell me your thoughts. Let's see what some of the residents have to say about it.
First, Chicago records its most violent holiday weekend of the summer.
9 people were killed, 52 wounded just since Friday evening. And police say a large portion of the holiday shooting victims were attacked during incidents, a drive-by in Humboldt Park, and mass shootings in Bronzeville and Oakland. Now, this weekend's violence comes as President Trump is continuing to threaten to deploy National Guard troops and federal agents into the city.
They were saying, please, please, please let the president send it. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help.
And Tia visited both Chicago's south and west sides today to ask residents what they want.
She joins us live from downtown with what she heard from many people. Tia?
Well, Terrence and Sylvia, you know, it's a really easy point for political pundits to get in front of a microphone and say what they think about the National Guard coming to Chicago. We've heard a lot from them. We've heard from politicians. And in fact, we've heard from military veterans. The group that we haven't heard from are the residents, many of them living in some of these violent communities, what they think about the National Guard coming to town. And our first stop was on the west side, right in Garfield Park.
They shouldn't have authority to try to police the world of the city because they don't know the rules and regulations of what officers do.
My thing is we in war with ourselves or is the government in war with the citizens? So.
Look in front of Marshall High School. There's nobody there. There's nobody here.
Now, Garfield Park on Chicago's west side ranks second among communities with the most shootings this year. That's according to crime data. So far, 93 people have been shot in the area and 13 have died. Now, we spoke with 3 residents who all share, you heard it, a common view. The National Guard is not the solution. Some described it as a temporary fix to a much deeper problem. Meanwhile, 14 miles away in Chicago's Woodlawn neighborhood, that's on the south side, we interviewed 2 women from different generations. And despite the age gap, their opinions align. Both questioned the need for troops. One of them said Chicago was not nearly as bad as some other cities and expressed concern that the city might be used as a political pawn.
President or whoever is sending this off to us or deploying these National Guards here, I'm not sure if that's such a good idea. We need to have more policing in these areas where they're doing these crimes. And that's all to it, and it shouldn't just be downtown.
The National Guard will only be a temporary solution to an everlasting problem. Because even if you get National Guard here, sure, crime will go down, but I don't think that it will get to the root of the problem. It'll slap a Band-Aid on. There's a lot of reasons why there's a lot of crime that goes on, like throughout Chicago and even surrounding neighborhoods. Some people have a lack of resources. Maybe they were not raised in the right houses. And when bringing National Guard here, all that's going to do is instill fear.
Yes, I agree with her what she says. That it might be like putting a Band-Aid on the issue. I can see that. I can clearly see that. But I don't want to lack of resources and not the right. That doesn't just because you weren't raised. How do I want to say this? Your people are old enough to know right from wrong. Simple as that. Yes, it might be a lack of resources around where you have to. Some people might feel like they need to steal just to live. Maybe they aren't. Maybe they need to get multiple jobs. I don't know, but I don't think you can just put it on a lack of resources because that we would just. I don't know if we talked about this, but I've seen to where they have, a lot of grocery stores are leaving certain communities because of the crime. But if we look at it, when the community opened up, or the state or the county opened up a citizens grocery store, I'm trying to say this correctly, how they opened up their own grocery store, not a big chain grocery store, it still suffered the same problems, crime. So something has to be done. Will the National Guard fix it? I think it would get the crime down. I think that while they're there, it would get the crime down. Will it come back up when they leave? If nothing changes, yes. I think that's very reasonable, but that the crime would come back up after the National Guard leaves. Now, does it? What can be done? First thing, yes, they. How did I say this? Chicago is in a budget deficit. I know that. I've heard that all the time. If you can just look it up on Google, that they're spending more money than they bring in, and they want more money from the federal government. But how they've been allocating the money right now, it doesn't seem like it's been working. Now, a lot of people will say it's because they spent majority of their money housing migrants. That could be true. But they got to manage their budget effectively. They got to pay police more. Do I think that the taxpayer all around the world should have to pay for it? I'm not too sure about that. Especially if they, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's, like I said, I don't know. The National Guard will definitely bring crime down, but will it keep it down? No. Things have to change within the city politics. Things have to change with the city itself. They can't be lax on crime. None of that. Any of that. But let's keep going and finish up this video.
Now, keep in mind, we did just interview a very small part of Chicago's population. But when you look at numbers, because numbers don't lie, you can see that Chicago does have issues with violence, but it is not the most violent city in America, especially when you look at FBI crime reports. In fact, cities like St. Louis, Baltimore, and Detroit, they actually top the list when it comes to per capita homicides. Live in downtown Chicago, Tia Ewing, Fox 32, Chicago.
Yep. They always bring up the numbers. The numbers say it's going down. I don't know if some people are saying that they're underreporting crimes, because some people are. Some people, we got to be honest about it. That some people are not reporting just because they feel like there's no point. And then I've heard, you can do your own research on it, but I've heard that people say that they'll be picky about what crimes they report. So they'll be like, oh, well, it happened in this place and not this place. Or he came over from here. He was originally lived there and he came over to Chicago. So we're not going to count that as a Chicago homicide. So there's a lot of things go into that. So I don't know for sure if the crime is going down or not. Yes, the numbers say they're going down, but these few residents they looked at said that they don't feel that the National Guard was needed. And that one girl, she made a good point. Is it just going to be like putting a Band-Aid on the issue until they get to the root cause of it? Yes, like I said, the National Guard troops, if they came, crime would drop down. I am 100% positive that would happen. When they leave, if nothing changes, yeah, it's going to go back up. All right, everybody, remember this is AC Reviews.